Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of June the 7th, 2015. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This week, we have got a series of harmonious aspects taking place, harmonious conversations between power players in the sky, which suggest that while it may not be a time that feels completely free of challenge, we are going to understand how to work with the challenges and utilize them to our advantage. More people than ever are going to be feeling empowered, are going to be feeling strong, are going to be feeling like energy, the universe, life is on their side, and that they finally have some control to make good things happen. So it isn't so much that good things are just going to fall in our lap this week, and sometimes that's actually better than when we understand how it is that we can create blessings for ourselves and pursue those pathways. So that's what's going to be presenting itself to us. So a bunch of planets are going to be speaking in a type of conversation that astrologers call a sextile. And this particular conversation is considered an easy aspect, a positive aspect. So these are positive conversations all around, different power players speaking to each other. But it does indicate a small amount of tension that ultimately leads to ease and leads to action that can end up empowering us tremendously. Now, here's the thing with this type of sky. When I see a chart, right, if I'm like looking at your chart, whether it's a personalized horoscope or otherwise, if you are looking at your chart, if you're a student of astrology, when looking at the chart, there are some things that are very clear that say, okay, here comes something good, here comes something big, here comes change, right? Positive change. Sometimes we see things that say, okay, here comes change. You may not know how you feel about it in the beginning. You just got to roll with it. But sometimes we see these types of conversations playing out. And these types of conversations do suggest to me that it really involves participation. So the blessings are there. The opportunity is going to be there to develop in some way that could lead to even greater and greater blessings. But it's up to us to take the reins and decide that we're going to run with it and that we are going to take up that challenge to develop, to be better, so that greater and greater blessings become possible. It really is when the sextiles happen that we do the groundwork with positivity. We take that action we need that eventually does create tremendous gains for us in the bigger picture, especially in the bigger picture of any given year for that matter. So this week we have got several conversations taking place and actually a continuation of some of the energy that started last week. So last week I talked about in the weekly horoscope Mars speaking in harmony with Jupiter. So Mars and the Sun right now traveling very close together. And so when one planet does something, it doesn't take long for the other planet to do the same thing. Meaning that if one planet reaches out to another, has a conversation with another power player in the sky, it doesn't take too long before the Sun or Mars, the other planet, is having the same type of conversation with that same power player. Of course, these are different planets, so they're going to have their own flavor. They're going to have their own way of coming about the conversation and what results of it. But suffice it to say, we've got some key parts of ourselves, key energies working very much together now. Both the Sun and Mars are associated with will. They're associated with how we direct our energy and deciding what way to go and saying, this is what I got to do, and then doing it. So both planets strongly associated with the will. Both planets will continue to reach out to Mars. Continue to reach out to Jupiter. Mars last week reached out to Jupiter. This week, a precision moment early in the week where it will actually be the Sun that reaches out to Jupiter. And then as we move further into the week, both of these planets will reach out in harmony to Uranus, planet of surprises and delight. And especially when it's this type of conversation, it's that we are shown the way that we can have either dramatic change or we get a really valuable insight, have a conversation that shows us the way, have an insight, have an understanding, take an action that shows us where we could take even more action. And really this comes down to, on the one hand, Receiving clarity, which is part of what the sun is about. If you think about it, ancient Greece, god of the sun, Apollo, was the god of rationality, but also the god of prophecy as well. And so speaking with Jupiter, the sun speaking with Jupiter this week, speaking with Uranus this week, we can expect like rationalness to set in, but to also support receiving and also support achieving a sense of having that awakening, having that realization, receiving a prophecy of our own that really can make all the difference, that really can lend itself to dramatic and positive change all around. This is really great energy all around. To consider any kind of brainstorming, if there's anything that you've wanted to do, anything you've been considering doing, not really sure how to wrap your head around it, how you're going to move forward, this is the week that can definitely show the way. And this is also because, so in addition to having Mars also speaking with Uranus, this is also being very empowered by surprises. Mars tells us which way to go, is empowerment, determination. So we'll be very determined, and the insight, the energy really, because Mars is also adrenaline, may seem to come out of nowhere. But if we run with it, good things will happen. But something else is happening this week. This week we have Mercury speaking with Venus, again in the same type of conversation, positive, but you got to run with it kind of positive to maximize the energy. Speaking with Venus, so this adds softness, this adds a measure of love, particularly self-love, receiving love from another, and having messages be a key part of this, words and conversations be a key part of this. What's also happening right at the same time, right around the same time, is that Mercury will stand still in the sky and go direct. So think back to what was taking place in your life right around the 4th of May. Okay, so right around the 4th of May, there would have been, or might have been, some issues that came up, or some sort of matters of reconsideration, thinking about where you want to go, taking an action, realizing you got to go back, reconsider it. In some way, the developments that take place now are going to hearken to what was happening in our lives collectively and also individually back in May 4th. So if you remember, you may want to watch the horoscope from back then. I said, as I usually say at these key moments, when a planet is changing directions, but especially when it is that Mercury is standing still in the sky and changing directions. I always say, take note of what's happening right about now, because you will be returning to it. You will get further insights, further clarity. And this is the time when you're going to understand which way to go. Finally, resolution will begin. So make sure you're paying attention, especially as we move into the week, what's happening in your life. Mercury really slows to a standstill and then begins going direct this week. And so this is when Mercury's energies are most potent, and this adds to the element of intellect coming in, but this also adds to us receiving the right omen, the right message, the right conversation at the right time. That makes all the difference. And of course, as I said, because Venus is involved in this, it does suggest that love is a part of this. Sweetness and light is a part of this, that whether it's self-value, whether it's other people placing value on us, whether it's romantic love or more elevated kind of love, that sense of value is a part of the understandings that we're set to have now. Also this week, as we move towards the end of the week, Neptune will stand still in the sky and begin to go backwards. So this is always an interesting time. Neptune will stand still, begin to go retrograde over the coming months. I will be here, of course, to talk about Neptune as we go along, especially as Neptune moves forward a few months down the road. But this tends to be a really interesting time. On the one hand, I do think that Neptune standing still and going retrograde kind of can heighten confusion and uncertainty. And so I would invite you to consider, if you think back to what was taking place in the sky a couple of weeks ago or so. I remember I've been sharing on social media. A lot of you have been interacting with me. I absolutely love that, as you know. But I've been sharing, last week's horoscope. I was doing that, recording that under Mercury squaring Neptune. And that really did a doozy on me. And a lot of people out there were sharing with me as I was going along their own journeys and saying, wow, what's going on? Why do I feel like this Mercury retrograde is really magnified right about now? Well, it was because of that conversation that Mercury was having with Neptune. It certainly was an interesting one for a lot of people all around, and myself included as well. So when Mercury stands still and begins to go retrograde, and really not that far from when Mercury was speaking with, Mercury retrograde was speaking with this Neptune, meaning that they're still sort of widely in their dance, but they're still kind of in their dance. It does suggest that confusion is heightened. We may not necessarily know the best action to take. Also, I gotta say, you know, I'm always going to be honest with you. Just be mindful that the messages you're receiving, the things you're interpreting, may not necessarily be an accurate reflection of what's actually going on. Mercury now going direct is going to help a lot, yes. But before we really get to Mercury really gaining traction, just know, especially this week and as we move towards the end of the week, that there might be a feeling, you can't really put your finger on it. You know that you want to feel fulfilled or feel like your life has meaning or feel like you're plugged in, but wondering how that's going to come about. Don't worry. Tap into the power of the sextiles. Tap into that power that's saying you actually can move your life in a positive direction. That really what you need to know, you know right now, and is enough for you to take action in support of whatever direction it is that is calling you to go forward. And from there, more and more will be revealed. So sometimes there are times when all the steps are not clear, but it just requires you taking the first couple of steps, even if they're a little bit uncertain, for that pathway to really clear. And I think that is going to be a theme this week, especially as Neptune stands still in the sky. So there may be some confusion, not necessarily a lot of clarity around this time, I found, especially now Neptune going retrograde as well. You like to see, you know, they say that Neptune and Jupiter, they need Saturn, because when Saturn works with Jupiter, works with Neptune, the energy becomes that much more balanced. We're able to have that much more perspective. But that's not always possible, and that's okay too. And sometimes that uncertainty or not really knowing is part of the process that gets us to be certain about what our answers really are in the fullness of time. So embrace the uncertainty, as Eckhart Tolle says. When you get comfortable with uncertainty, infinite possibilities open up in your life, and that is going to be the invitation. The infinite possibilities are there. That's what those conversations are all about. But it's about us being willing to accept and be comfortable with a sense of uncertainty that might be there for some of us, so that we really can allow those infinite possibilities to reveal themselves to us that much more fully. Well, thank you so much for watching. Truly so grateful for it. As I said, I love interacting with you guys. Facebook, Twitter, Google+, my website, nadiyashah.com. Of course, the YouTube comments as well. Please do keep them coming. Also, Instagram. A lot of you guys are really enjoying the pictures I've been posting. I've been thinking, yeah, I got to start posting more pictures. So thank you for that. Thank you for your support of the Instagram photos, for liking them and all that wonderful stuff. So please do keep your questions coming. Sometimes I've asked questions that are a little bit more personal, that have to do with what's happening in your particular situation. If that's the case, please do consider a personalized horoscope, where I can do just that, look at your unique birth chart and give you answers that are specific to you and only to you. But if you have a general astrology question all around, then please do use the hashtag #AskNadiya. And I'm keeping, sometimes I'll answer the question right there. Sometimes I may come back to it a few days later or something, or maybe a week later or so. I'll come back to it, make sure that you get your answer. And then sometimes I'll say, you know what, this is a great question. I'm putting this on the list to make videos. And I got that list. And as you know, I have been making those videos and putting them out there slowly but surely, but they're getting done. So that's pretty awesome too. Well, thank you so much for watching. How all this wonderful stuff is speaking to you, and your sign is coming up right now. Hello, fabulous Aries. This week we have got your ruling planet, Mars, speaking in harmony with Uranus, I think that this is so good for you all around. It does suggest that you are getting the clarity you need on a level of mind, and changes are happening is really what it comes down to. Change is taking place for you. The sun is also speaking with Uranus in your sign. I think that you are being liberated in some way. You are understanding where it is that you can take action to experience a greater sense of lightness, a greater sense of, as it's been called, freedom from the known, freedom from the past, freedom from what it was, that whether it's your conditioning or whether it's just stuff that you felt wasn't really yours but you've been carrying. That stuff that you may have been carrying, this is going to be that opportunity to see how, where it is that your energy in terms of what you desire to direct into the world, how you desire to live, how you desire to go forward, wherever it has felt that that energy has been interrupted, that flow of energy has been interrupted, this is when a lot of clarity is going to come, and a focus as well. Now, this is largely going to be thanks to a conversation that's set to take place, or communication that's set to come through as well. So pay attention to your Facebook messages, your online messages. Pay attention to also what's coming through your telephone as well. All of these are going to be arenas where the right message finds you. For some of you, for a small percentage of you out there, you might actually find the opportunity to go to a talk or a workshop, probably a one-day thing. And if you do, you really want to pay attention, because I actually think that it is going to be in this type of setting that you could find yourself just opening up in the best possible sense, getting that message you need. And it's almost like, I think that some Aries out there, you'll be sitting among other people, listening to somebody talk or teach or whatever the case may be, and all of a sudden you make some kind of emotional, personal connection to what they're saying, and it really can make all the difference. Where it comes to love, we do have the ruling planet of your opposite sign, Venus, speaking with Mercury, and this connects also to the fact that these messages are going to be coming through right about now. So that really is the emphasis. But we've got lots of support for further connections, communications on a level of heart, sweet messages coming through, and just feeling like you are truly being understood, or at the very least your heart is being opened that much more widely, because you are able to share in a very immediate way for some people, but also because of some messages and communications that are happening, it seems to really sit with you very well. Hello, fabulous Taurus. This week we have got your ruling planet speaking with Mercury. You know, I've been speaking to you about this. We've got all this energy happening at the very bottom of your chart, the base of your chart, on home front, on home turf. And this energy is speaking right now, speaking with a part of the sky for you that has to do with money. And so this is a time you really want to watch, because I do think that right about now, if there have been any kind of if there's been anything stalled in terms of having the right money to make changes in your home, even if it's to move or it's just to renovate or repair, this is a time when you'll be shown the way of how to actually manifest and do what you need to make those changes happen for yourself on the home front. This can also be having to do with a parent as well. So if a parent needs some of your energy, then this is going to be you understanding how it is that you can best help them, and what it is, what energy it is that you have to give. So whether it's financial or just your presence. So for some of you out there, that is how you're going to experience this energy. But of course, what we do also have happening right about now is Mercury standing still in the sky, in a financial part of your sky. This is really the time to watch to see if there have been any kind of financial talks happening. For some of you even, I would say, if there have been any kind of errors or matters having to do with your paycheck, how you're getting paid, the numbers not adding up, this is when the resolution starts to set in. This is when you're going to find financial talks and matters get a lot more clear and seem to move a lot forward. Especially think back to what was happening in early May. You should hear some good news all around on that front if you're one of those Taurians that's been carrying forward a financial matter since then. Where it comes to love, there's a strong association now. Right now, your ruling planet is Venus, goddess of love, moving through the bottom of the chart. So this is about feeling at home with someone or setting up home with someone. But there's also an element here that has to do with connecting with someone from your past as well. So this could be a time when you finally get some clarity based on a past situation. Now, whether it's direct or indirect, there is going to be some clarity that comes through for a situation that's like way in the past. Somebody asked me about this recently, like when we've got all this energy happening at the base of the chart and it's connected to the past, how far back are we looking at? Well, I think that this part of the sky really has to do with way back in the day, however you interpret that. So this has to do with, like, you know, your early experiences, your first loves, like when you were a teen even. I mean, some would say depending on your age, some would say before you had your first Saturn return, which is usually around 28 and a half or so. But I think that it really is about sort of what you believe you've moved on from, you know, what's in the past. When this part of the sky, especially like this, is awakened, it tends to indicate that you are being asked to pay attention to this area of life. And especially when the goddess of love is moving through that part of the sky, you are being asked to consider what love has been for you in the past. And from there, have a fuller understanding of where you are now and feel that much stronger going forward. Hello, fabulous Gemini. This week, Mercury in your sign stands still and goes forward. This is awesome. This is so good. Mercury going direct in your sign, I have found, is always a good thing. Mercury standing still is really the time you're going to want to watch. So this is happening as you progress into the week. But this to me says that you are going to get some powerful clarity and understanding into who you are, what you're about, what direction you want to go in, and what it means to actually take, not necessarily step, but to actually think clearly, to wrap your head around a matter enough to feel like you're able to move forward, whether that's mentally, energetically, or practically as well, given that Mars is still in your sign. How well it is that you're able to move forward with that much more clarity and purpose on matters connected very deeply to what you really want to do and who you really are, what it is that really matters to you in your heart of hearts. And again, this reaches right to the level of identity and understanding who you are. That's where your answers are going to be found. So if there's been a situation that's felt like a little bit of a conundrum, felt a little uncertain, not really sure how it is that you're meant to move forward with this, ultimately your answers are going to be found, not just about, you know, close to the heart, but your answers are going to be found in understanding who you are very fundamentally as well. So I found lots of interesting things tend to play out under Mercury retrograde in your own sign. You may not realize it, how the stuff that's important to you because you're reconsidering it ends up being subdued. You may end up working against yourself. Well, this is where the clarity comes. And you say, wait a minute, this is who I am, this is my potential. And if you were moving towards it, really living in alignment with exploring your potential and living it, and in some way you may have felt like you lost a sense of mission or you went a little off track, this is going to be a time that brings you powerfully back on a path that resonates as right for you. And where it comes to love, you do have Mercury in your sign speaking with Venus. This is good all around, and you understanding what it is that you can do to create greater love for yourself, in terms of attracting love, in terms of the love that you have already. If you are in an established bond, this is about having key conversations that help you really understand yourself. I would say share your journey with a partner. If you're in an established bond, I mean, you know, like I say, don't think that that person you're on a first date with is your therapist. A lot of times people, like, they shoot themselves in the foot because whether it's been a really long time since they've had a date or they really want intimacy, like emotional intimacy, they jump into it way too early. So that person you're on a first date with, second date with, you have to keep it light in the first, at least the first couple of meetings if you can. That's always a good idea, because if you treat that as a therapy session, it can end up not working to your advantage. So and it doesn't really allow real love to blossom as well, the kind of love that would make your life feel that much lighter and brighter. So if you're in an established bond, yes, talk out your stuff. Don't worry, you've got that love and support there. But if you are not in an established bond, I would say this is a good time, you know, as we progress into the week, in the later part of the week, if you are so inspired and if you have the opportunity to go to some kind of event like a speed dating event, you actually may find it goes exceptionally well. Hello, fabulous Cancer. This week we have got this energy happening in the sign just before yours in a very quiet part of the sky that ultimately is really positive. So when this is happening, this to me is about good karma. This is about you not necessarily needing to go through extraordinary measures, go through a whole lot to create positive outcomes for yourself. And the positive outcomes are having to do with career, but also having to do with money as well. So lots positive is happening on that front. Career and money. Gains are to be made, but they're going to be made based on stuff that you've already done in the past, things that you've already put into motion, actions you've already taken. So this is the time to really accept and allow, right? It's not so much about you grabbing reins and fighting and moving and, you know, striving for something. It's more about you allowing. Now, there are times that are about you taking the reins and moving forward, and that time is not that far off for you, I gotta say. Give it a little time, give it a couple more weeks, and we're going to have Mars move into your sign. I'll talk about that when we get there, don't you worry, but it won't be too long. That's going to be the time for you to take action and to move forward and to fight for what you want and to, you know, go for it. You still go for it, but you go for it in a different way when Mars is in the sign just before yours. You go for it by allowing, by relaxing, by accepting, by being receptive, intuitive, paying attention to subtle signs, and knowing that you've done a lot already. You've sown good seeds. You've cultivated goodwill all around, and the positive stuff will come forward for you, and you will reap rewards as a result. And so that is about faith as well, that you've done well for yourself and you've done good already, and it will garner better and better for you. So have that faith, have that trust, because as I said, I see gains happening. At the very least, you're going to get clear on what you really want, what you're really going for, and be able to make changes as a result. Now, what is also interesting when I look at this week in terms of love, the main thing that I want to say is I actually think, as I look at the sky, that other people, as I said, are already speaking well on your behalf. And I actually think that it is other people speaking well on your behalf that in some ways going to open up opportunity for you. So again, I have a feeling if you are open to meeting somebody new and that's what you want, I have a feeling that that process has already begun. It's already been set in motion. You may get an inkling of that now. You may get a message coming through around that theme now. If not, don't worry. We have several, actually a couple months ahead where you're going to be noticing some of this stuff come up. But right now, especially, very powerfully, very profoundly, I do think that there is already, someone already knows about you. This is what I think as I look at Venus in the sign just after yours, speaking with Mercury in the sign just before yours. This to me says that someone's already talking about you, talking well about you to somebody who is a potential. That potential may reveal itself to you now, but you might have to wait another week or two for some stronger triggers to set in with Venus before you can fully realize that. But I think you're definitely on the right path. And those of you who are in an established bond, this week should do very well for having these private, kind of very quiet, very low-key moments that speak to you in a way that goes beyond words. Hello, fabulous Leo. This week we've got Venus continuing to move into your sign. Get used to me saying this we've got Venus in your sign because Venus is now in your sign, will be for an extended stay. Speaking with Mercury this week, and a Mercury that happens to be standing still in the sky, and a part of the sky that has to do with your friends. And so this can be a time when if you've been kind of dancing around an issue with a friend, whether it's an issue of money or of love, this is going to be a time when one of you is finally going to feel like, okay, let's talk this out. Let's talk about what's happening here. So it does look like there's going to be some progress. There's going to be some news again around love or money where it comes to a friend. This can be a time that feels really empowering, where you start to feel like, you know what, yeah, let's do something together. Let's start moving forward together. Whether it is a matter of, you wanting to lend money, but I think much more likely it looks like it has to do with just softness and sweetness and matters closer to the heart. What I also really like about this week is that we continue to have this buildup of energy in a part of the sky for you, not only having to do with friends, but also reaching out and speaking with, as we've got the sun speaking to Jupiter in your sign. We've got the sun and Mars speaking with Uranus, and a part of the sky for you that has to do with your vision for the future, feeling like you're on an adventure, and just positive energy opening up to you where you understand that there's so many things now that you could put into place that will allow you to manifest bigger and better. So these tend to be the focus right about now. This tends to be, or seems to be, the areas that are going to be asking for your attention. In particular, I do think just all around, lots of opportunities that other people are going to grant you to experience real joy, to believe in your dreams again, to start actually doing things, to make life feel like more of an adventure as well. And at the very least, will bring an element of really feeling a deeper connection, whether it's a feeling of reconciliation or whether it's much more closer to just feeling like this person supports you, remembering why it is that you became friends with this person in the first place. All of that becomes highlighted now. You add to this Mercury standing still in the sky, going direct. Again, if there have been matters with a friend that seem to have been ongoing, any kind of confusion, any kind of questions, this will help clear the way forward with that much more clarity and purpose as well. Now, also this week, we are going to have Neptune standing still in the sky, begin to go backwards in a part of the sky for you that has to do with what we call other people's money. So you do want to watch this, because it does suggest to me that if there are any kind of applications or things that you've put in, just pay attention to details, really. And that can be the hardest thing if the print is really, really fine. But this is going to be a time when a lot of money could go, a lot of money could come as well. But in particular, there can be, if you're not looking at fine print right about now, that can lead to large financial losses. So you want to prevent that. And the way that you prevent that is, one, if you can, put off any kind of like getting a loan or applying for grants or things like that. Try to put it off just a little bit. Just let Neptune not be standing still. That will work very much in your favor. But if you don't have a choice and you've got to do this, just understand, get a broader perspective of where it is that this agreement or this contract or this opportunity, this financial opportunity, what is actually going to be required on your part, and be open to the different interpretations that might be there in terms of if you should change your mind, if you should need to renegotiate at some point. Just know how and the best steps that you're going to take to actually do that, should you need to, and just to comfort yourself a little further down the road. Now, what I also do really like when it comes to love, Venus being in your sky, love is going to be a focus. And again, if you feel like the universe has forgotten you where it comes to love, don't worry. At least, the very least, you will have a key conversation now with a friend that really helps you clarify your way forward in matters of the heart. Hello, fabulous Virgo. This week we have got this wonderful energy taking place for you in a part of the sky that has to do with how high you desire to go, has to do with career. Now, this is a part of the sky that's actually been lit up as of late. Okay, so there has been a focus on this part of the sky for the last few weeks. And so this should be a time when you're feeling especially empowered and feeling like you're especially able to move that much forward. Now, we do have also, as part of this, a financial matter that might find a resolution, might find a settlement as well under this. Wherever it is that you have felt that It might be money that is required so that you can move yourself towards a higher goal or achieve a goal or a career aim. This should be a time when that finances, or at least the pathway to those finances, does reveal itself to you. What I also really like about this week for you is that we've got all this energy happening for you that does speak to a quiet contentment taking place for you, knowing that your life is where you're supposed to be, and having a sense that, wow, okay, I really am connected to a sense of purpose. So if you are one of those Virgos out there, and it happens from time to time for all of us, where we wonder, are we living in alignment with our purpose? This is going to be a week that shows you, don't worry, that yes, actually things are working very much in your favor to move you in a direction of feeling a greater sense of purpose as well. But there tends to be something kind of quiet about this, like an inner sense of peace and contentment all around, with this sense that things are going exactly the way that they are meant to for you right now. But all around, good time for career, good time for thinking and dreaming about what you desire to do and having that matched by tangible opportunity as well. And a good time to find that your bosses are actually thinking really well of you, talking really well of you, whether or not you're aware of it. It does look like higher ups are noticing what it is that you're doing. Now, if you're not on the career track, right? If you're not so minded in terms of what it is that you're trying to achieve professionally or otherwise, then this is going to reveal itself in terms of you understanding a sense of purpose for your life, understanding your direction, and understanding what kind of legacy you're creating, having that big picture sense so that you can forge that pathway with that much more clarity and consciousness. Where it comes to love, I do think that this is going to be a time when we've got Neptune, ruling planet of your opposite sign, in your opposite sign, standing still, beginning to go backwards. This tends to lend itself to some confusion. And so when I see this, it does suggest to me that, if you, it's just the messages you get might not be so clear. So it seems to me that if you meet somebody new, you might get the feeling that they don't really like you, but the opposite might be true, and it will be revealed more fully as we move along. But it also might be that you get sort of caught up in a dream and a fantasy of what might be with somebody when the reality doesn't necessarily support that, or you just haven't gotten there yet. So it could be like the most casual meeting that sort of sets off your fancy and has you in daydream realm for an extended period of time there, maybe a good solid day or two. And it's all fine and good to have a dream, right? To want, to hope is always a good thing. But just know that sometimes the reality doesn't necessarily match that, and take it for what it is. Those of you in an established bond, if there's any matters around a partnership, around the person that you love that don't seem so clear right about now, you're not getting the clear answer, the clear feeling around a key issue having to do with your partner, don't worry about it. That road will become clearer. Just give it a little bit of time. This week might not be the exact time to find all your right answers in love, but that doesn't mean that the right answers aren't there waiting to be uncovered as we move forward in the weeks ahead. Hello, fabulous Libra. This week we have got your ruling planet speaking with Mercury, your ruling planet Venus speaking with Mercury and fellow air sign. You add to this that Mercury is now standing still, going direct. I do think that this move of Mercury, if you will, this change of direction of Mercury, is going to speak to you very personally and on very personal levels as well. I think that there are elements playing out here that have to do with you considering what it is that you want to do next, where it is that you want to go next, whether it's literally or figuratively. And also this tends to have to do with whether it's a matter having to do with a legal matter, whether it has to do with a matter related to a university. These are things that are going to come up for your attention. You're likely to get some news now that comes across as overall really positive for you. So you can embrace that, and you can get excited about that actually, because if there's been a matter of any kind of uncertainty or confusion, this is a time that should set matters straight. So again, If there have been any kind of ongoing legal matters, that you should get some news right about now, or at least be shown what you can do to move things positively forward. If there have been any immigration matters, or you wanting to travel or spend an extended amount of time in a foreign country, this also is going to be a time when hope is instilled, reawakened for you as well. And of course, as I said, with the university environment, if you're in university or connected to a university environment and have felt that there's an issue you've been trying to resolve, this week at the very least will show you the steps forward and empower you, notably empower you as a matter of fact. Where it comes to love, well, we do have Uranus in your opposite sign getting all this positive energy all around from the sun and from Mars as well. Mars being the ruling planet of your opposite sign. I mean, this is just good for connecting with other people. If you're in an established bond, this is good for a very spontaneous reconnection, a very spontaneous kind of very romantic moment at that just can really feel like it's just come out of nowhere and has a, not necessarily a sweep you off your feet effect, but a very pleasant and delightful moment kind of effect. And if you are one of those people who is open to meeting somebody new, this can be a time when at the very least your imagination is awakened. But I actually think that there are going to be some Libras out there who all of a sudden realize or get the appreciation that, oh wow, okay, that person likes me. I totally didn't realize that that person likes me. Or catches this right opportunity. Some Libras out there will find that little sliver of opportunity to be able to let someone else know that they've actually been watching them for a while and have been an admirer. Hello, fabulous Scorpio. This week we have your ancient ruling planet Mars speaking with Uranus, last week coming off of speaking with Jupiter. So there's this continued focus on the part of the sky that has to do with grants, loans, and bursaries and insurance payments, that type of thing. And this should be a time when some good news does find you, some clarity is finally reached, some money shows up out of nowhere, sort of a one-time thing, and just seems to delight you to no end as well. I also think those of you who are involved, and I'm just going to put this out there, those of you who are involved in some sort of process of individuation. So what I mean by that is, if you're involved in any kind of like psychoanalytic process, if you've been going to therapy, this is a time when you could have these big breakthroughs. You know, sometimes if you're in therapy, this is sort of like one of those things that's been talked about, particularly by Carl Jung. I don't have the exact citation, but I do know that he said, and it has been said, that when you go to therapy, you sort of go week after week and you kind of say, okay, what am I doing this for? All right, because I want things to change. And then you have that one session that's like 20 sessions in one where you have that breakthrough moment. And that really is why you commit to going for like a year or 2 years, because ultimately it is about building to those peak moments that happen that change just about everything. And I think also Scott M. Peck in his best-selling book, The Road Less Traveled, which I loved, absolutely loved, read that book a bunch of times when I was very young actually, has spoken about this as well in that book. So this could be a time of a psychological breakthrough, whether you're in therapy or you're like sort of unofficially reading self-help books like a lot of people do. This could be a time when you come across the right information that just seems to open up something in your mind, seems to make a huge difference, seems to make all the difference as well. This also can be a time when if you work on commission-based work, this can be a time when you do exceptionally well or get a bigger commission check than you had expected. And again, that seems to delight you. So happiness all around where it comes to prosperity, whether it's emotional and spiritual prosperity or in the practical sense as well. It looks like there's lots of positive energy taking place there for you. Now, what I also really like about this week is Mercury standing still and going direct in the same part of the sky, really. And so this to me does suggest that if you've been engaged in an ongoing financial matter, if there's been some uncertainty around some money that you thought you got, or people thought that you got, but you actually didn't get, or your benefits, you thought you were supposed to get a lot more, or you've been putting in applications, it hasn't been working out. This is a time when a lot of things should come together for you really nicely. And that pathway towards accessing the resources you need makes itself that much clearer. Now, in case of love, or for love, right? This week we do have the ruling planet of your opposite sign speaking with Mercury as well. And the ruling planet of your opposite sign right now is at the very top of your sky. So what this suggests is, like, really in love, go big or go home. That's going to be a huge theme for you now. And actually in the months to come as well. Go big or go home. Think big, think broadly, think big picture as well. Now, Scorpios are not one to like the superficial, right? They tend to be people who want meaningful experiences, experiences that reach right into the heart of you, transformative moments. And there is that element there of closely aligning yourself, attaching yourself to another person as well. And so this should be particularly a welcome time where you're coming to a deeper understanding of just what it is that you're going for in love and how it is that you're going to get to that goal of what you consider a love that can really be with you for the big picture. So if you are in an established bond, this is when the two of you likely are going to make some kind of plan, possibly a financial plan, together to move yourselves forward into a shared future. So this could be when you say, okay, let's do this so that we can get our deposit together to actually buy that house, to be together. Let's pool our resources, might be a big theme, to have something big that is part of the big picture for our life, as I said, like a house. But this can also be just a shared enthusiasm and a shared sense of goals and making changes so that a real sense of purpose takes root in the bond that you share. And those of you open to meeting somebody new, again, it's all about the real, authentic, soul-moving experience. And if you don't feel it, you know, I think this is going to be a time that tells you, okay, what do I have to do to actually welcome somebody really genuine into my sphere? What do I have to do to get something that really resonates and feels like it's where I'm supposed to be in terms of love? You'll be shown the way. You'll be shown the keys to meaningful change that will bring love that much closer to you. Hello, fabulous Sagittarius. This week we have got this wonderful energy happening between the sun and your ruling planet Jupiter. And we've also got all this energy building in your opposite sign, having to do with partnerships all around, having to do with love. So these are actually themes that I spoke about in the May horoscope for your sign, so you are going to want to watch that. But this is energy that's actually continuing into this month as well, and especially this week. Lots of positive energy all around where it comes to people supporting you. Business partnerships and in romantic partnerships as well. It is other people who are going to facilitate blessings for you, who are going to facilitate more growth for you as well, personally, spiritually, but also in practical terms as well. Especially just where it comes to creating a greater sense of joy in your life. I do think, though, I gotta say, you know, the most cynical in love that there may be out there, cynical in love Sagittarius that might be out there, this is one of those times that really can restore your faith. And this is a time when I do think it really is going to be about the people in your life, those one-on-one relationships. And yes, this can play itself out in terms of business alliances. Those are going to go particularly well right about now and likely are going to facilitate. And what I'm actually seeing is that there might be a business partner who comes to you and says, hey, let's place this bet. Let's take this risk. And it can pay off really well, actually. So be smart about it. Think it through. But if you do and it resonates, is right for you, then definitely go for it. It'll end up working out well. But I also want to say that this could just be like a business partner saying, you know, hey, there's this big lottery happening. Did you hear about it? And if you get something like that, you know, if your business partner says, you know, I keep seeing these numbers, then that might be a clue to you to go play those numbers. Go buy that $1 lottery ticket. You know yourself, know what it is that you're meant to like. Basically what I like about the Sag energy is that it understands what prosperity energy, prosperity consciousness is. You know what that feels like. So now it's about aligning yourself with that. But also there's an element there that has to do with knowing that your life already is abundant and connecting to that, that is going to help you to create even more prosperity for yourself. As I like to say, don't bet the farm, right? Only bet what allows you to feel like you are in very prosperous energy still. Be in that energy and you'll find things moving very much to your advantage. But yes, it is a great time to trust your instincts and to take that risk. But of course, as I said, I think love is going to be really important to a lot of Sagittarius out there right about now. So if you are finding yourself more interested in wanting to be in a partnership, more interested in wanting to spend time with the person that you love, then honor that, because I actually think that it's going to bring about all kinds of wonderful experiences for you, shared experiences for you as well. And where it comes to, if you're open to love, this could be a really great time. You've got lots of cosmic support to understand what you can do to actually have more people enter your sphere, to actually put yourself in a position to start meeting people who could end up being that much more likely to be partners for you. Now, Mercury is going to stand still in this same part of the sky in your opposite sign. So if you met somebody new between like in May or up until now, if you've met somebody new, this should be a time when some kind of revelation or insight comes out that makes you go, oh, wow, okay, I didn't expect that. That's who you are. But I do think that you're likely to say, okay, I can work with this. It's okay. It might actually work out quite well. So regardless of what the surprise is, it does look like it's not going to be something that ends up feeling like a deal breaker. Far from it. It looks like it's something that you end up feeling like, okay, yeah, we can work with this. We can make this change. We can make this adjustment and continue moving forward. Hello, fabulous Capricorn. This week, we have got all this energy happening, continuing to take place in a part of the sky for you that has to do with the work environment, having to do with health. Now, I've been talking about this, I know, for the last couple of weeks. That's because there's been such a concentration of energy in this area. And this is when the news gets good. This is when positive developments happen, positive breakthroughs take place. So where it comes to the workplace, these are positive changes all around that seem to work very well for you, that surprise you as well. I do think that this could be a change in the realm of the staff that you work with in some way. So again, the co-workers that you have, there might be some adjustment, there might be some shifts, but it looks like you are happy about it, that you end up sort of coming out on top through this process. And it could also be all these changes happening right now. There's a focus now right now having to do with health as well. And this could be a time when you get some really good news all around where it comes to your health, or possibly the health of a parent as well. But I think that it's much more likely having to do with you getting some good news, realizing that you're actually healthier than you thought you were, or realizing that actually there's some really basic things you can do to improve your health dramatically. You have had Mercury going backwards in this part of the sky, so as I have been saying, you know, be mindful of like misdiagnoses and things like that while Mercury's been retro in this part of the sky. Well, now Mercury's going to stand still and go direct. So you do want to pay attention to what's taking place right at this week, but also in the weeks coming up ahead when a lot of clarity is set into the best way forward to empower yourself to feel your absolute best. Now, where it comes to love, this particular week, we do have a couple of key things happening. One is, I think about Venus, goddess of love, moving through a part of the sky for you that has to do with really meaningful and profound experiences. And this is actually going to be a theme that's with you and for weeks and months actually ahead. Something I'll be continuing to talk to you about. And so where it comes to love, it is those very meaningful experiences that are going to matter. You as well as Scorpios out there, it really is about having those meaningful experiences that reach right into the heart of you. But what I do really like now is I think that there actually is likely to be some sort of interaction, some sort of conversation even, likely with a coworker, okay? And this to me does suggest that it is going to be sort of in a relaxed space with a coworker, that you find yourself being a little chatty and talking about things that really help you to understand where you are right now in love. and how you got there and where it is that you want to go. And so there is some clarity promised thanks to allowing yourself to relax just enough to share something a little bit personal. And for a few of you out there, there may be an element there that has to do with you actually hearing somebody that you work with talk to you about matters related to heart, and you end up making your own connections to what is shared that ends up making a positive difference all around for you as well. Hello, fabulous Aquarius. This week we have got a continuation of energy in a part of the sky for you that's very romantic, speaking with your ruling planet as well. So I think that this is going to be a time when you're going to continue being interested in having romantic experiences all around. This is going to be especially dominant for those of you who are open to meeting somebody new, or you're just dating someone as well. And also what I really do like about this, I would encourage you to watch your Jupiter special. Again, Jupiter is only going to be in your opposite sign for a few months longer, a couple months longer. And this really is the time for you to start tapping into the best this energy has to offer. People supporting you, people really helping you to develop your creativity, but also romantically as well, just feeling really loved and feeling like you have that partnership, like you have that support. All of that is being promised now. All of that is on offer now as well. But where it comes to, like, if we were just to put love aside for just a moment, right? Because I'm going to talk about love. But if we were to put that aside for just a moment, we've got this buildup of energy happening in a part of the sky that has to do with self-actualization. It has to do with what it is that you are creating, right? And sometimes we contact and connect with creation energy through love. It's love that wakes us up on a level of body, and that's happening for you now. But this should be a time when your creative energies are especially high. And so you can channel this into creative projects. There should be a determination now to live a life that is more fulfilling, that incorporates more joy, that allows you to tap into more of your creativity. Whether you're an artist or you don't identify as an artist, this is going to be a strengthening of your intuition, telling you the best way to go forward. Also with this particular energy is fertility. Fertility is a big part of this, and so you're pretty fertile now. If you want to have a child, you've got that support to make that happen. And actually, I think that that could happen quite by surprise. A few Aquarians out there might find themselves getting some news and being delighted. Proof of their fertility, if you will. For some of you out there, it may be an answer. If you've been trying to have a baby for a while, then this should be a really good answer that empowers you, that helps you understand what you can do to move yourself forward towards having a child, if that's something that you want. Now, if that's something you don't want, as I like to say, if you don't want that, then you can choose how to channel this energy and work it the way that you desire. But of course, as I said, I would come back to love, and all around this is very romantic. So this can be a great time to nurture the bond that you have, to feel that sense of connection with the person that you do love, to have that reawakening of the joy that you share take place. But this can also be meeting somebody new. And so this is either the deepening of a bond that already is there, or connecting with somebody that holds real promise for being somebody that's likely to stick around for a while. Hello, fabulous Pisces. This week we've got your ruling planet Neptune standing still in the sky and going backwards. We've also had this continuation of energy happening at the very bottom of your chart. Overall, really positive in terms of what's happening on home front. So you can feel a sense of forward movement, a sense of progress taking place on the home front and matters related to home as well. Having said that, while things seem to be getting better on the home front, for you personally, as I look at Neptune standing still and going backwards, I do think that this could be a time when, Neptune ultimately is an energy that has to do with giving, right? It has to do with allowing the flow to take place. And when Neptune stands still and goes backwards, a lot of energy can kind of go. So you are going to have to be mindful of self-care. You're going to have to be mindful of your water intake. I would say make sure, they say if you want to make sure that the balance of water is healthy in your body, to drink lots of water, right? You're going to want to be mindful of holding on to too much water. So that's why I say I'm not a medical specialist, right? So you may want to do some research into this. But if you are one of those people who has a health issue where you hold on to too much water, then this could be a time when drinking more water is going to help you. But I do think that's like sort of a metaphor, right? For holding on to energy, releasing energy as well, finding healthy ways to release energy. All of that is set to take place this week. And so be mindful of the people around you. If you know that there are certain people that just tire you out or take a lot of your energy, just don't reply to their messages this week, or just decide that you're going to create a healthy boundary. If there are people you have to deal with, go in with that healthy sense of boundary. Know what it is that you're going to say, what it is that you're not going to say to a certain extent. But ultimately, it is about you deciding that you're going to honor that voice within that knows when it is to give and when it is that you're giving from a different place. I remember, many years ago, one of my spiritual mentors is my aunt, Shireen, and this actually was like 20 years ago now. And I remember she's the one who really put a tarot deck in my hand. It was really because of her that I started getting serious about my love for astrology. And I remember she took me to get sort of Reiki attuned, we call it, for those of you interested in energy work. So she's the one who actually took me. She was like, hey, here's this thing and I really want to learn it. I'll pay you, come with me. And I was a kid at the time, so it meant a lot to me. And it was a really good experience all around. But anyways, one thing I do remember in those first Reiki treatments, I remember saying to her, when I do a treatment, I feel tired. And she said, you're not supposed to feel tired. You should feel wired, because it's not your energy. You're only tired when you're giving your energy. And it's not going to mean as much and not mean as much for the person you're giving the Reiki to as if you tapped into a higher energy. You're supposed to be a conduit to let that energy work through you. And this has been a really helpful distinction to me in so many ways, in so many areas of life for me, and especially in my work as an astrologer as well. Whenever I know now, whenever I start feeling like my energy is going, it's because my perspective is off, because I'm giving energy when instead I should be allowing a higher energy to work through me. And that's also when it ends up being that much more fun and that much more rewarding for me as well. So I share this with you because I do think that there's a possibility this week for some type of situation where the answer would be as simple as you allowing another energy to work through you, rather than you feeling like you are the one who's having to put energy into a certain situation. And so be mindful of that. Plug into source. You're at your best when you plug in to source. And so there might be a situation that feels like it needs a good push, needs a lot of your energy, but you can balance that out. Having said that, though, we do have some really positive financial stuff happening for you, and that's really thanks to the Sun and Mars speaking with Uranus in the sky, Uranus in a financial part of the sky. And so overall, from a money perspective, it does look like it's almost like a talk you had way connected to the past comes back to have a payday take place for you. If you have a home-based business especially, you should notice a pretty prosperous time with some very prosperous opportunities showing up for you as well. And where it comes to love, self-care is huge where it comes to love, and that's really what you're going to want to watch now. There's an element playing out here right now with lights kind of coming on and you not really being sure if that's what's happening. Are you seeing things clearly? Are things being communicated clearly as well? And just the confusion factor just all around for you and others around you is just so high. So you want to watch that where it comes to love, but because I just think that it just looks like you may end up getting kind of upset about something, but that's not what the intention was, and you may be misinterpreting it. So whether this is within established bond or someone who's trying to get to know you, or someone who reaches out to you, you may not realize it, that they're actually interested, or how it is that they're actually trying to get some of your attention. But If you're patient and you consider the other ways that this might be able to be interpreted, it will work very well in your advantage as your life moves you towards greater love and greater wisdom as well. Well, thank you so much to everybody out there, to all signs out there. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.